Jack Johnson joins us on the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. He is Senate Majority Leader as we observe the proceedings of the special session of the General Assembly as called by Governor Bill Lee. Jack joins us to tell us where we are in the midst of this session. Hey, Jack, how are you?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing great. Thank you so much. And my apologies. I'm literally in committee at the moment. We're in a brief recess here, and I may be summoned back in to cast a vote, but I'm happy to chat with you in the meantime.
All right. You just let us know what you have to do, and we'll immediately do it. I appreciate your time, and I'm so happy you were still able to join us. So we hear that the Senate has limited the special session, at least on its side of the proceedings, to essentially 3 bills. Am I hearing that correctly?
That is correct, Matt. The governor is the one who called this special session. The governor actually introduced or asked to be introduced 6 different bills. We've been reviewing those in recent weeks and meeting with stakeholders on those pieces of legislation. We settled on 3 of them, 3 good bills, and those have been passed out of committee, and I anticipate passing them on the floor of the Senate this afternoon. But at this juncture, that's what the Senate is prepared to take up.
And just explain why that is. I think I understand it, Jack, but for the edification of the listening audience, why are you limiting to just to those 3 bills the debate in the what is described as the extraordinary special session?
Well, the way special sessions work, they're supposed to be for a limited scope for, literally, we use that word, extraordinary session. That's the proper term for it. And most special sessions are called by the governor, although there is a mechanism where the legislature can call itself into special session. But in this instance, the governor called us in and had a package of bills he wished for us to consider. What we don't want to have happen is for a special session to turn into a regular session, where you have literally, in the case of this special session, over 100 bills filed, Matt, over 100. Some of those didn't fit the call, but there were probably close to 60 bills that got referred to committee. We can't go through and vet and thoroughly consider 60 different bills in a matter of 3 days or 4 days. And so now the House is going through a lot of bills. I believe at this juncture the House has passed 37 bills out of subcommittee, and they're considering those in full committee right now. But on the Senate side, we chose to focus more exclusively on what the governor asked us to consider. These other bills, by the way, doesn't mean they're bad bills, doesn't mean they won't be considered at a future date. We will reconvene in January, and any one of those bills can be reintroduced at that time.
What 3 subjects are you taking up in the Senate? What are the 3 pieces of legislation?
So one, and it's what we're on right now in the Senate Finance Committee. We had a drafting issue we're getting resolved with staff right now. But on safe storage, we know that the vast majority of crimes that are committed in Tennessee are committed with stolen guns. They're not committed by guns that are lawfully purchased at a gun store. They're with stolen guns, and we have an issue with guns being stolen out of cars and homes and so forth. And so the governor asked us to pass legislation that would create a campaign to encourage safe storage, to educate people about how to safely store guns, and also make safety devices. Yeah, I just heard an ad that you were doing relative to gun safes and trigger locks and things that responsible gun owners should use. We're not going to create any penalties or any type of civil liability or anything, but we want people to be encouraged to safely store their weapons. If you carry a gun in your car and you get home for the night, take it inside. Don't leave it in your car where it might be stolen. And we're also, which you and I have talked about, and I was very happy to tell you were right, we are reinstating the sales tax exemption on gun safes and safety devices as well. So that's one bill. We're also asking the TBI, our mutual friend Aaron Goldbergson with the Tennessee Faith and Freedom Coalition has been instrumental in this, in asking TBI to produce a report relative to human and child sex trafficking by December 1st so that we can bring a robust package of legislation to combat that scourge in our society. And then the third and final bill is a bill that would codify an executive order that the governor issued back in April relative to making sure that our background check system is up to date. If you commit a felony in Shelby County and 2 days later, if you're not incarcerated, you try to purchase a weapon in Blount County in Far East Tennessee, it should show up in the background check system because you're ineligible to purchase a weapon. And that information should be in the system within 72 hours. So we're going to codify that executive order. Those are the 3 bills that we have advanced in the Senate thus far.
Well, and it seems to me like you are utilizing the specific language of the Constitution of the state of Tennessee with regard to special sessions and the extraordinary nature of the legislation that should be passed during the special sessions, and you're honoring the call of the governor, which I appreciate. I did not hear in your explanation, Jack, any red flag laws. That's
No, imagine that. Yeah, I know a lot of people have been trying to stoke fear in the hearts of Second Amendment advocates in recent weeks that we were somehow going to try to sneak one through or something. We've been very clear. There is no red flag law, no extreme risk protection order being contemplated. A couple were filed by Democrats. They have been disposed of, and none of those are going to advance out of committee. So we're focusing on good, responsible policy that will, number one, be constitutional. Well, number two, will not infringe upon people's constitutional rights, and will be effective and actually reduce crime.
So how does this work? Obviously, the House is doing their own thing, the Senate doing its own thing. How does all of this come to a conclusion? Does the House send over bills, or how does all that work, Jack?
Sure. And that's exactly what will happen. All the bills that are being considered by the House have been filed in the Senate. And ultimately, in order to adjourn this special session, what we call sine die, that's Latin for without day. That when we adjourn a special session sine die, that means it is over, done. We go home. It takes both bodies to pass. Both bodies have to pass a resolution in order to adjourn sine die. And so, at some point, there will have to be a conversation with the House, and we will have that, and it will be productive. And they may ask us to consider some additional legislation. I'm not prepared to say if we will be willing to do that or not, but we have to have concurrence from the House in order to get out of here. And we want to do that responsibly and in a timely manner. So there will be a time, we go through this every year during regular session, that we have two chambers for a reason. And sometimes they have different ideas and different viewpoints, but we will come together, the members of the House and the Senate, and we will sit down and figure out what we need to do so that both bodies can be happy, or maybe they won't be quite so happy, but we will do what we have to do so that we can adjourn. But neither chamber, the bottom line is, neither chamber can go home without the permission of the other chamber. So we will have to sit down with the House and rectify what we're going to do.
Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson with us. He's kind enough to step out of a committee hearing that's on a break right now to speak with us live as the special session is ongoing. Help me understand, are the Senate rules different than the House rules in terms of gallery and what the expectations are within the gallery? Because I know the ACLU has sued the House. They had a no sign policy. Are the Senate rules, do you set up your own rules of decorum in the Senate?
We do. We have our own Senate rules that are adopted at the beginning of each legislative session. We did not modify our rules. As you know, the House did. On Monday, when they first convened, yesterday, I guess it was, they are, what is today? Wednesday? The days are running together on me. But on Monday, when they convened, they had a lot of debate about amending their rules. We did not. We adopted the same rules that we always do. They are very similar. We do have rules. You can't have disruptions in the chamber. You can't have clapping and yelling and booing. You can have signs, but they have to be held basically chest high, so you're not blocking the view of people behind you. We certainly celebrate people coming to watch their legislature in action and people getting to express their First Amendment rights. We do ask them to do it civilly, though, and I'm very proud to say thus far in the special session, we've had no issues.
Do you have any thoughts on the decision on the part of the House to prevent signs? I mean, for me, it's a rule. I think we can debate whether or not it's a necessary rule, but it's one the House felt was necessary. I know you're not in the business of getting into their business, but are there any thoughts on that, Jack? Have you seen any disruption as a result of signs in the Senate side of things? Let me ask it that way.
We have not. The chairman, typically in a committee meeting, will kind of go through the rules when we have a full gallery, and we've had several, and I found that the people that are here to watch their legislature in action have been very respectful and civil, and there have been no disruptions. I do support the right of the House and the members of the House to adopt the rules that they deem appropriate, and I would never be critical of those. We may or may not do the same thing in the Senate, but I'm not a member of the House. I'm a member of the Senate.
Well, I appreciate you breaking it down for us in a very succinct way. 3 measures: safe storage, human trafficking, and codifying the timeliness of the transference of information regarding background checks and mental health issues. Those are the 3 issues being taken up by the Senate. And we'll check in with you from time to time over the next several days, Jack. Do you expect that we're done by the end of the week?
I do. That's the hope. And even though we're in a different place than the House is, I think we all agree that we need to get this wrapped up by the end of the week, and I'm confident that we'll be able to do so.
There he is, Senator Jack Johnson. Thank you for stepping out of the committee meeting. I appreciate you, Jack.
Thanks, Matt. Have a great day.